Hey there and welcome. As your financial coach, today we're going to build a playbook, a really powerful strategy that's designed to help you as a new homeowner take control of your single biggest debt. This is all about turning that 30-year mortgage marathon into a sprint you can actually win in record time. All right, so here's our game plan. First, we're going to pull back the curtain on the hidden cost of a traditional mortgage. Then, I'll show you how to unlock your home equity with a really powerful tool. After that, we'll walk through a super simple 3-step action plan. We'll look at the math that makes it all click, and then, finally, we'll tackle some of the common questions you might have. First things first, we have to understand our opponent. And that's the structure of a typical 30-year mortgage. It's kind of set up in a way that, well, let's just say it's not really in your favor. And we've got to know how it works to beat it. Okay, let's kick things off with a question that honestly might shock you, especially if you've just signed all those closing papers. Just take a guess. That big check you write every single month, what part of it is actually building your ownership? And what part is just, well, feeding the bank? The numbers are pretty staggering. As you can see right here, in just the first 4 years, over 75%, 3/4 of your payments can be pure interest. I mean, think about that. Your hard-earned cash isn't really building up your stake in your own home. It's going straight to the bank. This is what we call front-loaded interest, and it is the very heart of the amortization trap. And, there's a reason the banks set it up this way. It's very strategic. They know that most families, most people, are going to move or refinance within the first 5 to 7 years. So by loading all that interest up front, they make sure they get their maximum profit from you, long before you ever get close to making a real dent in the principal. Okay, but here's the good news. There is absolutely a way to fight back, and it involves using one of the bank's very own tools against them. So it's time to introduce our secret weapon for taking back control. Our key tool is a home equity line of credit, or a HELOC. And right away, I need you to completely reframe how you think about this. This isn't about taking on more debt. I want you to start thinking of this as a strategic financial account, almost like your primary checking account that we're going to use to our advantage. So here's the crucial difference you have to get. Your mortgage, that amortized loan, it's like this long winding road where you pay most of the toll right at the beginning. But a simple interest loan, like a HELOC, that's a direct path. Every single dollar you put in has power on that very day to lower the amount of interest you owe. This concept, right here, this is the core of the whole strategy. Okay, now for the playbook itself. And you know what? Forget all the complicated spreadsheets and financial wizardry. This is all about 3 simple, repeatable steps your family is going to take every single month. Yep, it's really that straightforward. All your income, every paycheck, goes directly into the HELOC. This now acts as your main checking account. You pay all your bills out of it, the mortgage, car payment, groceries, you name it. Then, with the leftover cash and the available credit, we make big strategic payments to attack that main mortgage principal. And this chart really shows the magic of simple interest in action. Now, don't get bogged down by all the different bars. Just focus on the big idea here. Every time you deposit a paycheck, the balance that you're paying interest on drops like that day. Your money is constantly working for you, not just sitting idle in some checking account doing nothing. Okay, I know what you're probably thinking right about now. This sounds way too good to be true, right? But here's the thing. This isn't magic. It's just math. We're just moving the same money you already have around in a much, much more efficient way. So let's look at the data. Look, this isn't about finding some magic money tree. It just optimizes the cash flow you already have. You don't need to earn a single dollar more. You just have to use the mechanics of simple interest to your advantage. It's about making your money work smarter, not harder. And here it is, laid out in black and white. This is a direct comparison based on a sample mortgage. On the left, you've got the 30-year trap, and on the right, the results of our strategy. Just look at that difference. We're not just shaving off a few years, we are cutting the timeline by more than half, and just look at that interest saved. It's dramatic. Yeah, this is the number that should make you sit up and pay attention. Over $460,000. That's money that could be funding your retirement, your kids' college education, your dreams. It's money that stays in your pocket, not the bank's. Now, it's totally normal to have questions. In fact, if you bring this up with friends or family who've only ever known the 30-year mortgage, you're probably going to get some pushback. So let's just tackle the most common objections head on. This is probably the #1 question I get, and it's a really important one to understand. I mean, it seems like the obvious, simple solution, doesn't it? But trust me, it's not. Because when you refinance, what are you really doing? You're often just restarting the clock on that exact same amortization trap. The bank might dangle a slightly lower rate in front of you, sure, but they put you right back at square one where almost all of your payment is just feeding their interest pile again. You're just resetting the trap. Okay, this is another fantastic question, and yeah, on the surface, it sounds completely crazy, right? Why on earth would you use a higher rate loan to pay off a lower rate one? Let's clear this up because it actually works in your favor. Here's the absolute key to this whole thing. The type of interest you're paying matters way more than the rate itself. That nasty, front-loaded, amortized interest on your mortgage is far more expensive in these early years than the honest, simple, daily interest on a HELOC balance that you are constantly pushing down with every paycheck. Ah, yes, the good old mortgage interest tax deduction. You know, it's often held up as this amazing benefit of having a huge mortgage. Let's talk about that for a second and put it in its proper perspective. You just have to ask yourself one simple question. Would you rather save a couple $1,000s on your taxes this year, or would you rather save hundreds of thousands of dollars in actual interest payments over the next decade? Now, you should always talk to a tax professional, of course, but the math here is pretty hard to argue with. And that's our explainer. I'm just going to leave you with one final thought to talk about as a family. This strategy, it's not just about paying off a loan faster. This is about your future. It's about getting to a place of true financial stability for your retirement. Because the biggest risk isn't paying a little more in interest here or there. It's still having your biggest expense when you no longer have your biggest paycheck.